You are listening to Vicky Goes On and On with Vicky Stokes and James Wells. Anyway, so you're wearing the right top.
I am. For
I like it.
Discussion today. I suppose,
would you like to introduce the topic?
Well, I was going to say hello first, and because it's been a while since we've done this, and our one listener out there has been probably thinking, well, unless they've unsubscribed because we've disappeared, they're probably thinking, what the fuck? But it's just been
fuck these
busy.
Guys.
We've been busy.
We've been
busy, haven't we? But
just
that's not to say that
box.
I don't feel like this is going to be a recurring thing. We're not going to do one every 12 years or something, but it's just been a busy few months. That's
but
all
we could be like,
that's all we need to say.
Do you know the novel To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, right?
Oh, what? And then she brought out the sequel like 75 years later or something.
Yes.
Which wasn't very good.
Was it not? I
haven't read it yet.
I've not read it either.
I got told that it was okay, but one, you're doing a sequel to Kill a Mockingbird. Two, you're doing a sequel to Kill a Mockingbird after so long, where the expectation and the fan base is obviously built up over time. So it's like that's
some of them have died, surely.
Oh yeah. But no, I mean, I wouldn't even put our intellect or quality in the same vein as Harper Lee.
Well,
Let's be honest. I wouldn't compare this podcast to.
I've not read To Kill a Mockingbird, so I can say what I like.
I have. It's very good. Have you seen the film?
I'm sure it's good. No.
No.
You'd think, as somebody who has an English degree, that I would have read more novels than I have. But
I thought you had read more novels, though. I thought you had read quite a few.
I've read more than 10, less than 1 million.
Is there any books, any novels that you've reread because you've enjoyed them?
Yes. Yeah.
What?
I've read 1984 about.
Oh yes, yeah. I should have watched
7 times, 8 times, 9 times. I've read Fight Club.
So is that the 10
4
novels
times
you've read? 10 novels you read is 1984.
I just reread them.
Yeah.
No.
I've read 10 novels, all 1984, all different editions. Different covers.
Do you know you mock, but I have read 2 different editions, and there was a difference because in the first imprint, there's a mistake in it.
Right. Okay.
Then in
1985
later versions, no. I can't remember exactly what it is, but it is actually really interesting, and we should do an episode about 1984 because
we should do actually.
So
I haven't, and I haven't seen the film either. So I just know of. Yeah, I know of it. I know the concept of it. I know what it's about, but I've just never. Yeah. So. Yeah.
And look, and I'm not just saying this, and I'm not. I hope, but what pop culture says it's about is not really what it's about. So we should do an episode. We're not here to talk about 1984.
We're not. As you've noticed, I am wearing a Grinch sweater. So yeah, we're here to discuss the Grinch. Can
I just say
all forms of
please. The Grinch that happens to be on your top. It's from the original novel, the original book. Not really a novel, is it? And I must say, don't you think he's got very nice eyes in the original?
So in the original,
very pretty.
So the original book, they are pretty, but they're red, aren't they? They're red eyes, because in the original book was pretty much black and white, apart from some splashes of red. The Grinch didn't
green.
Actually. Well, no, the Grinch didn't become green until the first animated version. Did you
Well, in
know
my
this?
copy of the book, he's green.
No, but surely they've
You're the Grinch expert.
they've colorized it. I'm not the Grinch expert.
Surely.
We have mentioned, and I think it's even recorded on maybe possibly last Christmas's podcast, that we love the Grinch. I think we briefly mentioned it. We love the Grinch, and all versions of the Grinch are valid. Do we still stand by that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's no Grinch 8 in my house. Yes. Apart from, and you need to speak more on this, there is a horror movie version coming out.
Yeah,
it's out now.
I think it's
in the
come
States.
Out. Yeah.
No, it's out on the 9th, and then I tried to see if I could watch it anywhere, but it wasn't on any streaming platforms yet.
No.
Yeah.
Did you watch the trailer?
The Mean One, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes, but as I said to you, I had already seen the trailer and just sort of wrote it off as like some sort of parody,
fan trailer.
Yeah, did you ever see? It was a great trailer. The trailer of like the gritty remake of Fresh Prince that has now become a TV show. Yeah, I thought it was like that, and it was just like, oh yeah, that's kind of half amused by it.
I mean, with the Fresh Prince,
it's an actual movie.
I know. With the French Prince, with the Fresh Prince,
Louis,
King Louis.
Yes.
With the Fresh Prince, the fake trailer that inspired the series actually looked better than the series that they ended up making.
Agreed. I was really disappointed in the series.
Yeah, well, I'm very disappointed in Will Smith, as we all are, to be fair.
Yes, and I'm not going to talk about him.
He's a prat.
It's upset me.
If you're listening, Will, you're a prat.
Go fuck yourself.
Yeah. So yeah.
But I still like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
Well,
so this horror movie.
So the point is, though, is well, I mean, it's an interesting concept, I suppose.
It works.
But the thing is it supposed to be that he is the Grinch?
Well, it's a horror parody, isn't it? So it's not like they've got permission to do this as such. But yeah.
But what I mean is it a murderer in a Grinch costume, or is it a Grinch?
No, I think he's supposed to be. Well, I think he's supposed to be the Grinch, but it's not like someone dressed up.
The thing is, the Grinch isn't a baddie.
Well, he is at the start, isn't he? He's a grumpy person.
No, he's not a baddie.
But it makes
his
sense.
Heart is too small.
But he's very grumpy. You say he's not a baddie, but he does.
He's not serial killer baddie.
In at least two of the movies,
he's got a dog.
The last two, but he doesn't have a dog in the book, does he? Yeah, he does have a good dog in the book. He has Max, doesn't he?
Yeah, Max.
Yeah.
Max isn't made up.
Yeah.
Max is a real boy.
Yeah.
Have you got the copy of the book right there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's Max. But in
nobody has a little doggy dog.
Look, come on. In at least two of the movies, the last two, before he goes through his redemption arc, he does naughty things, doesn't he? So he is a baddie. He doesn't kill people, but then this is an adult thing. I think it's by the same guys.
I think the Grinch is misunderstood.
Well,
and I think he's been maligned by pop culture.
Well, so I mean, Grinch now is very much people use Grinch, don't they? In the same vein as they say, if you don't like Christmas, you're a Scrooge. Yeah. And actually, I was going to say, I think so. The Grinch and A Christmas Carol are my two favourite Christmas stories. And it's interesting the parallels there.
James.
You've got the grumpy lead character that finds his redemption, and by the end of it, is good and lives
by being
the spirit
shown
of
the
Christmas.
errors of his ways.
But I think there's probably something in it. The fact that I enjoy that and I enjoy the Grinch. Oh, hello. What have you done?
you enjoy the redemption arc.
Yeah, I love a redemption arc. I've got to say, I love redemption arcs, and I love revenge and justice films like John Wick and Mr. Nobody, and
I can't watch John Wick.
Fucking love
it. Mr. Nobody.
Yeah, with
what an amazing film.
Yeah,
Bob Odenkirk. I love him. Yeah, no, I can't watch John Wick.
Maybe that's what
the dog.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe they could do,
and that's the whole point of the bloody film.
A John Wick
revenge.
You know, where someone kills Max the dog. And
John Grinch,
and he's like,
"No, don't you dare harm a hair on that dog's head."
But then, that to me would have been better than just doing the horror thing.
Yes, but it looks like a cheap movie. It looks like a B movie.
So the guy that plays the Grinch,
I have very little interest in watching it.
Have you seen you've probably seen memes of him and stuff, but there's a killer clown thing called Terrifier.
Yes.
So it's the same guy. Yeah, it's the same guy.
Yeah, and when I saw that, I was like, oh, no, this is awful. Because I've heard that Terrifier is a really horrible movie.
Yeah, I mean...
people were fainting and...
There was that Winnie the Pooh horror movie that came out.
Yes.
Blood and Honey. So I think off the back of that, they're like, let's do the Grinch, you know?
I feel like people need to just leave those stories alone. And if you want to write a horrible movie, write a horrible movie. But why you need to drag the Grinch and Winnie the Pooh into it? Stop stealing the innocent.
Yeah. I get it because you can. It's an easy character to turn into a very villainous, creepy character if you want. You know, when you watch the Jim Carrey live action, there's some creepy aspects to him. There could be.
There's some sexual tension in that movie that I am not here for.
Yeah.
And
between him and
Martha May.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the only time, because they didn't do it with the Benedict Cumberbatch one. It's the only time that they've given Grinchy a love interest, I think.
And also they gave him this massive backstory that I thought was uncalled for and wildly inappropriate.
Jim Carrey one?
Yeah, because we saw that he was a bullied, abandoned child. And, like, why do we need that? He doesn't need... Okay, they're trying to justify why he became the Grinch. And also, that's just his name. So, anyway, or is it? Is he a Grinch or the Grinch? You know, is he a who, but some sort of deformed who?
Maybe he's both. Maybe
you see, this is the problem. Both. The Jim Carrey one. Yeah, but the Jim Carrey one throws up too many more questions. You're giving him this backstory. Well, where were Child Protective Services? Where were the police? Why were the teachers such assholes to him as well? None of it is necessary. Because in the Boris Karloff version, which is amazing, we learn immediately his heart is too small, right? That's why he has literally no capacity for love. That's backstory enough. Then his heart grew and he became able to give and receive love.
They do say in the book, don't they? And in the movies, about not liking Christmas, they do say, please don't ask why. No one quite knows the reason, and it's something like maybe his shoes were too tight, and all these like reasons, but they don't elaborate on that too much.
And then the Jim Carrey one, it's because he made an ornament for Martha May, and it was, his love was rejected, and it's like, do you know what? It's none of that is necessary.
But at the same time, do you not feel that? So when you look at the book, there's certain scenes in the cartoon that aren't in the book because you can't put a scene into a book of him in the sleigh, riding down to Whoville and stuff. So it's stuff to flesh out that half hour. That the basic story of the Grinch leaves enough to be able to add more in without ruining it. It's quite unique in that sense. There's a lot of stories where you can do that and not lose the essence of the movie. Like, I do agree with you about the Jim Carrey, like the younger Grinch and the Jim Carrey thing. But it still leaves questions unanswered. Because like you saying about, is he
I think Grinch
or is he the Grinch? Maybe he's both. Maybe
is he a who?
He's the last of his kind. So he's a Grinch.
Yes, but
now
then
he's the last, so he's the Grinch.
He's not a who. But so you talk about fleshing out, and I totally agree with you, because it's not, the Boris Karloff one is closest to the original.
Yeah.
But the Benedict Cumberbatch one, that's fleshed out, and there's no need for this unnecessary crazy backstory.
He's an orphan, isn't he, in the Benedict Cumberbatch one? Is that right? He's an orphan.
Yes, yeah.
So
they're
still asking the same questions. You're still saying, okay, well, is he a who? Is he a
but there's none of this weird Martha May love interest.
No, there's no love
actually
interest.
She's in love with him, and the teachers were bitches to him, and I of the movies, I think the Benedict Cumberbatch one is the best, because I watched it, I think, last year, and as you know, I didn't have we're not really doing Christmas very much anymore, and so but I enjoy watching fun family movies, if you like.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, let me just watch The Grinch. It's got a dog in it, and then it's got a fat reindeer going on, who's great.
And it's got that goat that screams.
And then it has. I love the goat that screams. He's my favourite.
Funny, I cried. It was so funny.
And also the little tiny callback joke where the guy's like, "Oh, that's my best friend," about the Grinch, and the Grinch is just. I love that neighbour.
It's either Keenan or Kel. Is it Keenan Thompson? Keenan
Thompson.
Yeah. I love the neighbour.
It's the one that didn't love orange soda.
Yeah,
I love him.
The one that's on SNL. I was talking to my nephew and my young nephew.
Yeah.
And he was saying how his favourite film.
He's 28.
No, he's like 11, he was saying how his favourite is the Jim Carrey live action. I said, what about the newer one? He was like, no, I don't like that. I really don't like it. And I'm like, why? I'm thinking,
why?
It's so good. And I actually said to him, what about the neighbour? He's like, hey, Grinchy. And he's like, no, I don't like it. And I'm like, my God, again, though, it's different, but it's like there's some really good there's some bits in there that really make me laugh. You've got the carol singers that chase him around. That always makes me die when they just come out of nowhere and they're singing God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, but they're doing it really slowly with a clicking, and he's trying to escape them. That's so good. And I think Benedict Cumberbatch is really good at it. I think Benedict Cumberbatch, I was thinking about this, the way he does the Grinch, and particularly obviously the voice, it's almost like a mashup between Boris Karloff and Jim Carrey, because you've got the slight restraint of Boris Karloff from the originals, mixed with the American
with
sound
the manic, with the
and that kind of gruff. that Jim Carrey does. And I think it works. I think it's a really good. To the point where, I mean, I guess the thing is when I first saw the trailer for that, I was like, why? Because I loved the Jim Carrey one so much. I was kind of like, well, why are they doing this? And it felt so soon as well after, and it hadn't been.
I bet it wasn't.
What, like, so the Jim Carrey one was
I know
2000 and the Benedict Cumberbatch was 2018.
Time doesn't mean anything anymore.
No.
I know. That time doesn't mean anything anymore. No. I've been on this planet for too long.
Yeah. It's like when you see them memes.
Like, I bet it's 18 years difference.
Yeah.
What?
But it's like the memes that you see of...
It's not. In my head...
People saying now, 1990 was only 10 years ago. It's that kind of thing. Fuck, it's not.
1990 was 10 years ago. The 70s were 30 years ago. I don't care that none of that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I also don't care that I was born in 82 and I'm 40 and I know it. The 70s was 30 years ago.
Mm.
It always will be.
Yeah, I agree.
2001, sorry. That was like 10 years ago.
Mm. It's
just 9/11 happened 10 years ago.
In that theory, we should be getting another Grinch movie next year then.
Yeah, sure. If they do one, I'd like them to do, and only because I watched a very short video of the new Guillermo del Toro Pinocchio on Netflix.
Yeah.
I haven't actually seen it yet, but it was sort of...
Is it stop animation?
Like a
stop motion animation.
Yeah, it's stop motion.
Mm.
And maybe we should, bring that art back even more because I love stop motion.
Yeah.
And we'll do a stop motion Grinch. That would be fun, I think.
Directed by Tim Burton.
No, fuck that guy.
No, I love Tim Burton.
Bored of him.
No,
I'm bored of him. No.
So do you know they actually?
And anyway, it just look a bit like Jack Skellington, and I can't be dealing with it.
I mean, they actually.
I'll tell you who should do it.
Go on.
Aardman.
No, it wouldn't be as good.
What's wrong with them?
Why don't we get Guillermo del Toro to do it?
Yes.
There we go.
Yeah. All right, we're in agreement there.
Perfect.
Guillermo can do it. Come on, baby.
I was actually looking at some stuff about Grinchy, ready for this, and apparently I didn't know this, but with the Jim Carrey version, Ron Howard ended up directing it, but originally they were looking at Tim Burton to direct and Jack Nicholson to play the Grinch.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that would have been a totally different movie.
Wow, that would have been.
Can you imagine Jack Torrance as the Grinch? Yeah.
No, okay. So then you know what they should have done instead of Jack, because even by that point he would have been a bit old. Michael Keaton.
Oh, if they would have done the Grinch in the 80s, Michael Keaton as the Grinch would have been perfect. Absolutely perfect.
Wouldn't he? I fucking love that man.
Yeah, I'd love that. Maybe Jack Nicholson as Max, the dog.
Voicing him. Not just a live Jack.
But Jim Carrey does it so well. For a live action version, he does it so well. He's being Jim Carrey, don't get me wrong. Like there's elements of
he always
Ace Ventura in there, there's a bit of The Mask. But I mean I've always loved Jim Carrey. I've always loved Jim Carrey.
Me too. I mean, I worry about his mental health, but I do love him. I think he's a great actor. One of my favourite movies, this is how highbrow I am, absolute top 5 movie, Dumb and Dumber. I fucking love that film.
Yeah. It's one of them films you could watch over and over again, actually. Dumb and Dumber.
I have.
And never get bored. Did you watch the sequel?
My top 10 movies. Well, there are 2 sequels, right?
No,
so
not the prequel.
And then there's the okay, all right,
the one where they were in it.
Do you know? So
it's not good.
I started watching it and fell asleep, right? Which is never a good sign. Although I do fall asleep to TV quite easily in my old age. But then I was, the next day I was like, okay, start this again. Let's get to where I was. And I fell asleep. And I thought to myself then, I don't think this is a good film. I think that's why.
Yeah.
It's just not holding my attention. And I waited years, maybe 2 years. And I tried to watch it again recently, like this year. And was just like, no, this is fucking shit. It's not... I don't know. It doesn't have the heart that Dumb and Dumber did.
That's it. I did the same.
It's a good film.
Do you remember they did a movie version of the Power Rangers?
Didn't they do two? Because I saw one in the cinema.
Not the one with Ivan Ooze, not the good one with the Power Rangers from the actual TV show. I'm talking about when they remade the Power Rangers Unite.
Okay.
It was probably 2000.
Not long ago.
But it felt like yesterday.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that.
So I tried to watch that, and I put it on every evening in bed, and it must have taken me about a week and a half to get through it. Because it just was one of them movies where I mean,
that's when you know it ain't good, right?
No. But then you're invested.
What was the other one? Have you watched the most recent Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie?
Not the second one. I watched the first one, and I wasn't very overjoyed by that compared to the ones of our youth. The live action again. Live action can work sometimes, and I mean when you look at
one of my favourite live actions, Super Mario Brothers. Although it's universally panned, I fucking love that film.
I love it. I think it's great.
I think it's so great. Anyway. Yeah, the Grinch. You can't deny
with the live action version of that, it's made very well. When you look at like the visuals and obviously the Grinch outfit aside, the actual Whoville and stuff, like the way.
And I think the Who's look good
with the noses and things.
Yeah.
Whoville has got a certain aesthetic, hasn't it? I mean, there's a certain design there, and even when you go back to the original cartoon,
it's a Dr. Zeus-ness.
Yeah, but even when you go back to the original cartoon, it's very simple. That village isn't big at all because obviously it's a limited budget with animation. But when they, over the years with the live action one and definitely the CGI version, they obviously make it bigger and better, but it's still very much an aesthetic. As you say, it's Dr. Zeus. Like it's Dr. Zeus is so popular in America. You go to the Universal Studios and he's got a whole land, and you go to like Whoville and stuff. And
it was my favourite.
And the buildings and stuff. I think the live action version does all that stuff really well.
She humoured me in my Dr. Zeus world.
Yeah, why not? You were Cindy Lou Who in a world of dreams, or you were the Grinch. I don't know.
Probably the Grinch, but after his heart got bigger because I love it. I love Dr. Zeus so much and always have. And then you become an adult and you discover that he was a terrible man who cheated on his cancer-ridden wife, who then killed herself. And you're like, oh, right, he's fucking awful. But
I mean, he wasn't awful. There's worse people out there.
He fucking was. Yeah, Hitler, Kanye West at the moment.
Well, yeah.
Being a dick.
What's his name? Isn't it now?
R. Kelly.
Well, R. Kelly, definitely. Harvey Weinstein.
Did you hear? I was on TikTok, as is my want. Right. And unfortunately, I need to delete that app because I just scroll on it for hours. But I came across this TikTok of R. Kelly has released an album from prison.
Right.
Dude, you will think I'm making this up. He starts talking about in this song, he says something like, I love the ladies, the older ladies, and the younger ladies too, but don't call me a pedophile. And it's like, what the fuck lyric is this, man? And you're in prison.
Yeah. Well,
can you just stop it?
He's got nothing to lose now, has he? You know.
No, because he's not. He's right. He's not a paedophile, right?
I mean, it doesn't surprise me, because have you ever seen that R. Kelly song "In the Closet"?
Yes.
It doesn't. So you sing it. You telling
nuts.
me this?
I know.
Doesn't surprise me. The guy
I
was.
know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
No.
Anyway, I just wanted to tell you something else that I learned about Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's version. So, as we know, perhaps, Jim Carrey found the yak hair costume very difficult to work in.
Yeah,
and it was torture for him.
It's quite a well-known thing,
and he would have
him and the makeup and the costume.
Yes,
was not.
And he would be very angry, and he would be very rude to people. Angry outbursts and things. He would kick off all the time, and he smoked cigarette after cigarette after cigarette.
He punched a wall.
Specialist torture. Yes, yeah. Oh, and he smashed up his whole trailer, and he got specialist torture training from a CIA torture guy. And
do you think that part's true?
So I was like, oh, I do think
about
that's
the
true.
CIA thing.
Yes. Because I know that they've got consultants. I'm not saying that the guy worked for the CIA, but he worked with the CIA, right? Which is a slightly different thing. And so, like, I remember I first heard about it when he was being interviewed on Graham Norton's show, and thinking, oh gosh, yeah, Jesus. And I read an article about it a little while later. But then I recently discovered that the little boy who plays him in the flashback scenes also wore the same fucking costume and didn't have a CIA torture specialist to deal with his anger outbursts. Now, I appreciate, kids put up with a whole lot more discomfort.
Whoa. It wasn't a little boy. So the actor's name was Josh Ryan Evans, and he suffered with dwarfism.
Right.
And
okay.
He was actually he was actually 18 years old when he played thingy, and he died.
Yeah,
and
but
he died 2 years later. So
did he, because of the yak hair costume? Do you think?
Because he couldn't get it off.
Maybe he should have had a CIA. No, maybe he should have had a CIA torture specialist.
Yeah, I think Jim Carrey threw him out of a window.
I didn't know that. Probably. Anyway, all I'm saying is Jim Carrey was being a little bitch. But I do love the behind the scenes fact that you also know, where he tries to. He's supposed to pull the tablecloth. Yeah, so he's supposed to pull the tablecloth off, and everything falls off. But he does the magic trick that everything stays on it.
But it actually works.
Trashes it anyway. Yeah. Yes, and I think that's beautiful. But otherwise, I
mean, the makeup is fantastic though. But the makeup was done by Rick Baker.
The makeup is fantastic.
Rick Baker's famous for like Star Wars. He did American Werewolf in London, which we both love. Gremlins 2, Nutty Professor,
which we also love.
So
Nutty Professor not so much, but
but like makeup wise, Rick Baker's like renowned. And the thing is, that's a really good Grinch outfit. And in like going back to the Universal Studios, sometimes you will go there, and when I've been there, it's been very much, when we've met the Grinch, it's been like a giant Grinch costume which looks like the book. But lately they're more inclined to do Grinchy from the live action now, so it's looking like Jim Carrey.
Yes,
but I mean, you also need that physicality. You need that face. I mean, there's that bit, and I'm sure it's obviously enhanced by the makeup, but there's that bit in the live action one where he basically does the smile that the Grinch does in the original cartoon, and it just smile just keeps going and going and going and going and going. And it's like, you know what? I'm sure there is makeup involved there, but that's Jim Carrey as well. That's, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, when it comes to live action, I can't think of many other people that could probably do it.
Well, he's got a plasticine face, doesn't he?
Yeah. He does the song very well. I love his version of the song. When he's like building the sleigh and he's getting the costume ready and stuff, and he's singing "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch." He's so good at that. Mr. Grinch.
That's just such a good song, though.
Such a good song.
So who do we think could play the Grinch live
if they
action?
did another live action?
Another. Yeah.
Oh, who have we got?
Well, it's been 400 years, so
it's been only feels like yesterday though. So who's in the zeitgeist at the moment then? Who's the?
I don't know actually. I'm just trying to think of actors, and they're all too old. I'm like, no.
Jim Carrey. Let's just do Jim Carrey. Like Jim, we've improved on the makeup. It's going to be a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Do you want to do it again?
Yeah, I don't know any actors anymore.
No.
I know Paul Rudd, Jim Carrey, Benedict
Just try
Cumberbatch.
thinking someone out of Marvel, and then but then maybe that's it. Maybe we don't need another Grinch.
No, we don't.
You know,
you were telling me last week that Rick Mail did some readings of the Grinch that I was not aware of.
It's on YouTube,
and I love Rick.
Yeah, we both do, don't we? It's on YouTube. So it's Rick Mail basically just reading the book. It's an audio book, but with Rick Mail. But Rick's really good at it. He does his Rick thing of, I think when he's playing the Grinch. So when he's narrating, he's very much normal Rick, just speaking really well, and actually, I kind of wish that he would have done the Grinch more like that, because then when he becomes the Grinch, he's doing it in a kind of Cockney accent, and he's like, "I'm the Grinch," and stuff, and it's Rick, so he gets away with it, but it's not. Of course, I wouldn't. I wouldn't want to turn my Grinch into a Ray Winston kind of. Like, I'm the Grinch, I'm going to fuck you up, you little shits. I'm going to nick all your toys. I'm not going to do that.
Do you remember Rick's TV show where he read stories and he had the chair that had
It was
legs?
like Jack Annoy, but it wasn't. Was
like
it? What
live.
Was it? It was called.
Yeah. Fantastic Stories or something.
Something. Yeah, I remember though. And obviously, I remember when he did Jack Annoy, he did George's Marvelous Medicine, and that was amazing.
He did. I made Philip and Stephen watch that.
It's so good.
Maybe 2 months ago.
But
it was good. That's the only time I've read George's Marvelous Medicine.
Oh, really? By watching Rick. But to be fair,
and I love Roald Dahl.
He does a good audiobook of the Grinch, and there's again, I guess all Grinch story adaptations are valid. There's a musical which didn't get great reviews. You can see some stuff on YouTube. One of the things that people commented on quite a bit with the musical, what's the guy's name? It's Matthew. He's a Broadway star. It's Matthew Morrison. His name is, and a lot of people said he was a bit too sexual as the Grinch, which they didn't find very comfortable. But I think there was obviously original songs in there, but they obviously used "You're a Mean One, Mr. Grinch" and "Welcome Christmas" and stuff. So, which is what the Who sing. So you got them elements. I think the one thing I did like about it is the narrator,
Matthew Morrison. I thought I knew that name. Is the teacher guy in Glee?
Yeah, I'd never watched Glee. I forbade myself to watch it.
I did. I watched the first series.
No.
And then was like, oh.
No. I mean, I like... So, the
Can
concept...
Can I just read from you Can I just read this? So this is from the Wikipedia entry of the Grinch musical. And the premise is the Grinch's dog, Max, narrates how his old master once schemed to ruin the festive holiday for the citizens of Whoville. I mean, I'm all up for a dog narrator, but yeah.
So I was going to say that's one of the redeeming things about the way they've done it is that you've got an old Max as the narrator, and then you've got the young Max with the Grinch. But it's not great. Again, if anything that saves it, it's songs that we already know.
Did you know that the Grinch was 50? He spent the past 53
years
living in seclusion.
So he's an old man. Well, 53 is old.
He is an old man. Okay, so no, he's not 53. He must be older.
He could be older
because he spent the past 53 years living in seclusion. Yeah. So him getting married to a fairly youngish looking Martha May.
You're going back to the live action one though, aren't you?
No, I'm mixing them all up. I'm conflating them all.
Oh yeah, maybe that's what you need to do. You need to write the next Grinch adaptation, but mix it all up into one cake. Grinch cake.
So we have the neighbour, we have the screaming goat,
we have Martha May.
Because I love them. We have Martha May.
We have an orphan, and then he goes to school, and then he gets bullied.
All right, it's going to be. I'm going to write a 3-part novel series.
Yeah.
It will start off with his childhood.
Yeah, you
his
could.
Parents,
his rather
childhood.
Than have it as a flashback, you could do it.
He's left on a
that's
cliff.
The start.
Yeah, no, a whole. Yeah. That's a whole motherfucking novel.
He's left on a cliff on Christmas Day, and then he can hear the Who singing while he's waiting for his mum and dad to come back, and they never come back. So it could be a bit like Batman.
You've made me so sad.
No, so it could be a bit like Batman Returns. So at the beginning of Batman Returns, also a Christmas movie, where the Penguin's parents.
Put a pin in that.
Where the Penguin's parents chuck him off the river because he's deformed. So you've got 2 Who parents that give birth to the Grinch.
I did
and
find.
Like, what the fuck?
I did find
so they
Danny
take him up
DeVito's
to
penguin so sad.
I thought you were so sexy then.
No, so sad.
But no, that could work. If you went for a darker Grinch directed by Tim Burton, you'd have the Who parents leaving.
Directed by Victoria fucking Stokes. Thank you. I'm writing the bitching thing.
We're leaving him at the top of Mount Crumpet. It's Christmas. They're going to go back down to Whoville. While he's sitting there waiting for them, he hears the Who singing the Christmas songs in the background, and that is what kicks it off for him for the next 53 years. Boom.
Oh God.
Starring Michael Keaton as the Grinch. Boom.
It's going to make me cry. Yeah. Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Tim Burton.
I better do it quickly before Michael Keaton becomes
Christmas,
too old.
Starring the Grinch.
It's not Tim Burton's.
It's Vicky
Stokes.
Mine. Vicky Stokes.
For fuck's sake. I'm not giving up director royalties to fucking Tim Burton.
Fine.
How dare you? Some of us need the money.
Well, yeah. So what? In terms of Dr. Zeus, are you a fan, or is it just the Grinch you like, or
no,
like of his
Fox
works?
and Socks.
Yeah,
Green Eggs and Ham.
Yeah,
The Butter Battle.
Yeah. What is it you like about
they're my top 3.
His books?
I liked that you can try and say them really fast. Maybe I'm a repressed rapper. You can say them really fast.
Well, like R. Kelly.
And no. I said rapper, not sex offender. So I used to carry around, and I'm sure I've told you this before, I used to carry around a pile of 5 or 6 books in my house, and I would read them to everybody.
All of them copies of 1984.
No. No. One was called The House That Jack Built. One was called Not Now Bernard, which I know that you know.
Yeah.
And one, I don't remember what it was. Another one, I don't remember what it was. And the other one was Fox in Socks.
Right.
And I only read Fox in Socks. Then I discovered Green Eggs and Ham. And then I was like, what? This is even better than Fox in Socks.
Yeah.
And so now sometimes I'll say to people, and most people don't understand me, which is, you know, it is what it is, whatever. Somebody say, oh, do you like, I don't know, do you like chilies? And I will say, I do not like them in the rain. I do not like them on a train. I do not like them with a goat. I do not like them on a boat.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not an obscure reference.
Yeah. No.
There's
a rhythm,
lying.
isn't there, with Dr. Zeus? There's a rhythm with Dr. Zeus, which is very recognisable.
And even though, yes,
I mean, it's
and
a very American thing. You know, I still don't feel like, when it comes to children's literature, I don't feel like Dr. Zeus is covering the walls of every kid's bedroom. It's Roald Dahl, isn't it? But in America, it's the reverse, you know.
I don't know. I find that really hard to answer because I would nick books from everywhere.
Yeah.
And so I had, I did have Roald Dahl and I did have Dr. Zeus, and neither of those authors were bought by my parents.
No.
That's not to say that they didn't buy me books, but you know, those two are like, you know, when we think about children's books, it's like Enid Blyton, Dr. Zeus, Roald Dahl. Now it's J.K. Rowling, whom I never liked, so whatever. Don't care that she's a transphobe. I thought the first three. I read the first three Harry Potters, and I thought, all right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, it's just as simple as, all right. Maybe I was a bit too old and I'd read too many other books, but anyway, I totally see why people liked them, but I had already read better by that point. So I was a bit older when the first one came out. I think I was like 15 or 16. But
there's been you saying about J.K. Rowling.
I'm going to send. Yeah, I'm going to send your daughter Stinky Cheese Man. That's a great book. And also anything by Oliver Jeffers. You see, also, I shouldn't be that interested in more modern children's books, but I just really love them. I think they're really cool, and I think sometimes the illustrations are great.
Anything written by David Williams isn't.
No, correct. Thank you. But even like really simple picture books, I really love them. I think they're so amazing. And I was so lucky, really, when I worked in the bookshop. Even though I didn't work in the kids section, I found all of these more modern, and I bought them for myself. I mean, I'm like 25 going, this is a great book. Lost and Found is beautiful.
There's a book at the moment that Alba reads, and she loves books. And it's it is one of the greatest books I've ever read in terms of a kid's book. And it's so clever and it's interactive.
What is it? You've got to tell me.
There's no flaps. There's no like mirrors or anything in it. It's called Press Here.
And I know the one.
Do you know?
Sarah's
and it's
got
like
that. Well, not
it's
her.
like a painted
kids,
yellow dot.
Yes.
And the pages is like, okay, press this dot 5 times. You press it 5 times, then you flip over, and it's like, oh, now there's a red dot next to it. So you go, okay, press that, and then you press that 5 times. Then you flip the page, and there's a blue dot, and it goes on, and it's really good because then you've got like, you know, you'll do these actions, and it's like, okay, now tip the book to the left a bit, and then you'll turn the next page, and all the dots are falling to the left of the book. it's so simple yet so clever and so interactive. I agree with you. I think there's some. I think you can be any age to enjoy a good children's
They're
book.
just no, absolutely. And I think actually it's a shame when some adults don't look at the kids section, because come on, man, we just need some fun in our lives, and some of them are so beautiful and funny and clever. And
but then, what would you say then about something
them.
like, so going back to Dr. Seuss, there's a few of his books that have been cancelled, isn't there? Last few years, and they won't publish them anymore.
Yeah, I don't agree with cancelling books or anything.
Anything.
I think you need to. Yes. Anything. Yeah. I don't agree with no platforming. I don't agree with cancelling. The thing, okay, so take, for example, Huckleberry Finn.
Yes.
You have a character in it, and his name is a derogatory slur for black people. Tom, right? Now, I'm only not saying it because I don't want to get cancelled. I mean, then we have one listener, and she won't cancel us. But, on the off chance, I don't want this to be our viral moment, right? Now,
but then surely if you're saying it because its name is part of it's a character's name, that's not you.
Yes, but now it's redacted.
Nowadays, someone will
no, but it's redacted, right? And I feel, and also because it's American literature, I don't feel so much like it's my place to say one thing or another. Okay?
So do they publish it now without that word? Is he just called Tom now?
Correct.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
Because I was going to then argue and say, why can I still buy Huckleberry Finn in Waterstones, but I can't buy them Dr. Seuss books? But they basically edited
because they've redacted it. Right, okay. Yes. Now, I disagree with that because that is not what was written. Now, I appreciate that it's an awful word and means a whole lot to a whole race of people, and it is not the same over here. This country was obviously involved in the slave trade, but in a very different way than America was. And so, I get it. I also get that in America, it's a thing to call white people honkies and crackers, but it's not a thing over here. So I don't understand it as much. I don't get, if somebody said to me, "You fucking honky," I would know that they meant offense, but I wouldn't be offended. Right? If they called me a white cunt or something, then I'd be like, oh, okay. Yeah. But I wouldn't be offended, of course, in the same way, because, whatever, hierarchies of power and stuff. But it's all very complicated and intersectional. But the point is, that novel, that's the character's name. Whether that is a good thing or a bad thing is not for me to say, but that is what that character's name was. Yeah. And that book was written at the time that it was written. Yeah. If you were to write that book now, maybe don't be saying N-word Tom, right? Is it Douglas Bader, the fighter pilot over here in the Second World War? He had a dog called Nigger.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah. Yes. Now, that was the dog's name. That's the end of it. Yeah, it's unfortunate that that's what his dog was called. But in the olden days, 90 years ago, 70 years ago, 80 years ago, that's what that was. Was just a... Yeah. I'm not suggesting that it wasn't pejorative then. It was. But particularly over here, it didn't have quite the same emotion behind
No.
it.
Mm.
For example, when I was a kid, and this is nothing that I'm proud of or anything, and the minute that I realised when I got a little bit older, and perhaps we all realised it at the same time as a society, the minute I realised that the corner shop should not be called the packy shop.
Mm.
It's not called that anymore, and it's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And I would never, ever, ever say to somebody who is Pakistani, "You are a Paki." I don't mean, because I know that it's offensive.
Yeah.
And I didn't when I was 5.
No.
Because where I grew up, that's what that shop was called.
But that's called
anyway,
learning,
my point being,
it's called learning.
Yes. Now, I appreciate that not everybody does that. And I do know that we don't live in an ideal world. But I just think that if you burn the books and redact the bad words, it doesn't take the facts away.
Yeah.
Right? The fact is,
you're stopping people from not showing their true colours, but if you had the option of teaching others based on that, so say that Pakistani or whatever, or the N word, if you chose not to educate people, then that says more about you. If it gets taken away completely and there's no chance there to educate, then
I feel like, wouldn't it be better to say, like they did with the Warner Brothers cartoons, this was in a time when this racially insensitive or sexist or ableist, classist, whateverist language was acceptable. It clearly isn't, but let's look and see how people were. Isn't it crazy? But let's have a look. The fact is,
if you take
racism hasn't gone away.
No.
And anti-Semitism hasn't gone away. No. Sexism hasn't gone away. Ableism hasn't gone away. None of these things have gone anywhere just by us changing the words that we use.
No.
But my hope is that by being a little bit more open and transparent about the past, we can say, oh gosh, we have come far. We've come far in my lifetime. We really have.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's perfect. It's far from perfect.
No, but I think if you've got the option there to learn and to have the knowledge of the past rather than it'll be taken away from you and not knowing. So going to what you were saying about the Paki shop, for example, right? If that was to happen now, and you get given the opportunity to learn something, so you're someone's calling the corner shop the Paki shop, for instance. Let's use this as an example.
Yeah.
And you get educated in the fact that it's not a nice word to say, and it's it's offensive, and we don't say that it's called the corner shop.
Yeah.
If that person you're trying to teach chooses, unlike what you did, if that person chooses to say, well, I'm still going to call it the Paki shop, then that says a lot about that particular person.
Of course.
And then you're kind of like, okay, well, you are a hopeless, lost cause. You're a lost cause.
A hopeless racist.
Fuck off.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's
an interesting thing that happened, actually. So on TikTok, as I say, I watch it a lot. There was a younger than me, she looked like, northern woman who said, "This is what I got from the chinke. And she said it like 5 times, right? And the way that she said it, I was like, you know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, she's trying to get a reaction.
Oh, she absolutely was. And I follow I actually think she's Korean, but anyway, an Asian American woman called Sujia, and I really like the way that she presents herself. Anyway, she called it out, and she said, "Isn't it interesting how you are claiming this woman? I don't know her name. I can't remember. I'm not interested in her. I follow Sujia, not this woman." And she was
we'll call her Cunthead.
Yeah, Northern Cunthead.
Yeah.
She was like, you
other Northerners are available
that you don't know. Yeah, who are not wankers.
Yeah.
So this woman, Northern Cunthead, she re-uploaded the video, and instead of saying chinka, she'd put some sort of music, right, every time. So it was like, see what I got from the see what I got from the whatever, right? And anyway, it all kicked off, and this Northerner was like, "Oh, I'm not a racist, and that's just what we've been calling Chinese takeaway for forever." And I was like, "Yeah." And when in the 80s, we would say chinky. I mean, we wouldn't in my house. We would say shiny because my mum couldn't say Chinese very well.
Right, okay.
And so it came out like shiny. But which is, wasn't her being offensive, guys. It was an accent. But I do know people. I grew up with people that would say, "Oh yeah, we went to the Chinky restaurant," and but then, still in the 80s, it was like, "Oh, that's an offensive thing to say," so we stopped saying it.
Yeah,
and even if you didn't know that it was an offensive thing to say now in 2022, right? If you were told, "Oh, actually, that's an offensive thing to say," I would go, "Oh, okay, I won't say that. I'm going to
make the effort now.
I'm so sorry.
Take away.
I mean, I'm so
we've
sorry.
Always been calling it
I didn't
that.
mean to be offensive.
There's a lot of things that we.
But I've always called it that. It's fine. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because if you always do the thing that you did,
but
then
some
there's
people
no
are
growth,
lazy. They cannot be bothered to like.
No,
just
they're
try
not lazy. No, it's not lazy.
Or they're wankers.
It's not lazy. Yes.
Yeah.
They're wankers, and they use idleness as an excuse for racism. Listen, I'm not the most woke person. I'm not going to sit here and say I'm so lefty and woke and I'm like really down with it, and I know all of the things. I don't even care that much because it's just tiresome a lot of the time to be aware all of the time. And we slip and we don't mean it. And I appreciate that. And this is my point with cancel culture is people are so quick to be like, "Oh, well then I'm a fucking piece of shit." But I'm not, I don't mean to be offensive. I'm just lazy or whatever. Right. But something like that is so easy to change. I told you that it's not chomping at the bit, it's champing at the bit.
So
and now you know it's champing at the bit. Right? And that's it. That's
to the point where I've actually corrected others. Which, they love, obviously. Do you think the Grinch is a bit racist? And I don't mean the Grinch, the character. I do actually. But is it?
Well, so
is there
people
a bit of
could argue, right,
racism
that it's
in that?
anti-Semitic or something, but
who's racist there? Is it the Who's? No, see, this is the thing. Like, I'd say maybe at the start of the live action one, the Who's seemed quite racist to the Grinch. But then they kind of overcome
they're
that.
They're a bit white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, aren't they?
And they're not
really
a bit
waspy bitches.
They're not really like that in the CGI one or the cartoon. They just want to have a good Christmas. Like even the Grinch's neighbour in the CGI version.
I don't know. They're a little bit suburban America.
Yeah, but they're all kind of like, hi, Mr. Grinch. Hi, Mr. Grinch. Like when he walks into the supermarket, in the Benedict Cumberbatch one, they're not like, what the fuck are you doing in here? But that live action one, they become. So does that mean that the Grinch is the racist one at first?
I think if he is, he's not racist, but he might be being painted as a Jewish character because he's anti-Christmas, right? And and Dr. Seuss definitely anti-Semitic. I mean, anti a lot of things, but
so he Dr. Seuss was originally a supporter of the Japanese American internment camps, wasn't he? He came out in support of that. But apparently, Horton Hears a Who was primarily about him overcoming his feelings about all that. So, I think there is a slight redemption arc with Dr. Seuss as well. To be fair, I think he was very much a man of the times, but I do feel by the end, and what do I know? I didn't know that.
Okay,
I do feel by the end of his life, he had moved with the times. And some would say a little bit of ahead of the game, but when you if I put it like that, I'm thinking, well, he was the Grinch, wasn't he?
Maybe.
Maybe his heart grew 3 times bigger as he got older. I know his stepdaughter said that on a good day, she said something like, on a good day he was the Cat in the Hat, and on a bad day he was the Grinch. So, I mean, as a writer, I guess, whatever you write, there's going to be a bit of biography in your writing, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, they say write what you know. I sort of feel like you can't help but inject some of yourself into whatever you're writing.
Yeah.
I mean, I see what you mean about he was of German descent, right? So he did denounce Hitler and Mussolini. So that's good. That's always good. Denounce Hitler.
Mean, there's obviously
Kanye, you fucking moron.
There's obviously an evolution of when you read up on Dr. Seuss. There's an evolution now of the person himself, which, as I say, has parallels to the character of the Grinch. In that
Where
sense,
does the Grinch fall in his publishing life? It was in 1956, but he was writing right up until his death, wasn't he?
Yes.
So because you know the book The Places You'll Go.
Yes.
I didn't know that book because it's like in the 90s, and when he died in 91 or something.
Yeah, 91. You're right.
I mean, it's such a great book, but I didn't know it when I was a kid because it wasn't around when I was a kid.
Yeah. The Grinch was published in 1957. So yeah.
And The Places You'll Go was 1990.
Is The Places You'll Go one of the ones that have been cancelled? Or is it If I Ran the Zoo? Isn't that one that's been cancelled?
Yes. So, and to think I saw it on Mulberry Street, If I Ran the Zoo, McElliot's Pool, On Beyond Zebra, Scrambled Egg Super, and The Cat's Quizzer are all retired books. And the organisation says the books portray people in ways that are hurtful and wrong and are no longer being published due to racist and insensitive imagery. Yeah. But I feel like they should continue to publish them because why not?
I think that is such a shame. Because
like you have a fondness for Song of the South.
I love Song of the South,
which we've discussed before. And they're obviously
I can see why it's problematic.
Racist.
Don't.
Of course, it's very problematic.
Yeah.
But it's not only of its time, but it's the stories of that time.
Mm.
And like the crows in Dumbo are clearly fucking racist stereotypes.
Yeah.
And clearly are about Jim Crow laws and all that sort of thing. But I remember even as a small child watching that and thinking, oh gosh, this this is stereotypes. Gosh, wow.
Yeah. But this is my point: is that I grew up watching this stuff. I grew up watching Dumbo, and I grew up watching Song of the South. I didn't grow up to be a racist.
And you're the most racist. The most racist person I've ever met.
How dare you? How dare you? Well, I didn't know. I didn't grow up to be a racist, so it's kind of
no.
Yeah,
I feel like
especially when you go on Disney Plus, and the amount of things now that you either can't get on the kids profile, or when you watch them on the adult profile, there's a disclaimer that comes up beforehand saying, this is of its time, blah 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 blah, and then it'll show the film.
No, I'm happy that there's a disclaimer. Yeah,
so am I. But I kind of think, okay, well, so you're happy to put a disclaimer up and still have Dumbo in your catalogue, but you won't put a disclaimer up and have Song of the South. Doesn't make sense. Like, it can't be one rule for one and one for the other. Neither of them films.
Song of the South was cancelled a long time ago. Like, I would say the 90s.
Yeah, because I had it on a VHS that was recorded off the TV. So I would say early 90s, they were still showing it on television.
Because I've seen it once.
Oh, no, I've seen it many a time. I've actually got a DVD
of it. Because you have a VHS.
I've got a DVD of it. So when we went on our honeymoon to San Francisco, we went into a record store, and I can't remember what it was, but it's a famous record store, and it was huge. But they had a DVD section.
It was called Racist Records.
It was called Racist Records, and they had a DVD section. And it had a couple of bootleg Song of the Souths. And I was like, well, do you know what? I'm not going to be able to get that anywhere else. I'm going to buy it because I like to collect stuff like that. And I like, not racist stuff, but I like to collect Disney.
I've got an original of Mein Kampf.
I've got a
Gollywog.
Porcelain
Hitler stuff. Yeah.
I thought it would sit and like the bootleg DVD, the case, the cover looked like it was genuine and stuff, and I thought that will sit well alongside my other Disney collection, and I don't regret having it because it's a film that I look at fondly.
No,
I know, I understand.
No.
I understand the controversies around it, and I understand why people find it offensive. I get it. And I'm not saying that they're wrong, but
no.
You've already said, it's them kind of things are of their time, and that's not excusing anything. But rather than dismiss them and cancel them and hide them away,
you can't.
Maybe you need to learn from this shit.
The thing is, I've always thought, and it's the same with non-platforming of people. So by not giving them a voice. I've always thought, yes, okay, but that doesn't mean that people ain't thinking it.
Well, and I was just about to say, the thing is, you're cancelling, you're stopping people from watching Song of the South, for instance, but you've still got people, talking about it. There's still like a Wikipedia page about it. There's still
but
documentaries
also,
that may bring it up in future.
It just
so you're
doesn't
not cancelling
prevent
it. It's still there.
It doesn't prevent racism. It doesn't prevent sexism.
No.
It doesn't prevent. And so, you say, oh well, we're not giving it a voice. Yeah, but these bitches are still going to think their thoughts.
Yeah.
So why not say, look, guys. Look at this. This is what people thought in the past. Yeah. Look, this is the stereotype that people would come out with. This is the shit that people would say. Like, oh my God, can you have a look at this? Like, nowadays, I don't know about you, but nowadays I watch things, let's say, from the 80s or 70s, and I'm struck by how many people are smoking cigarettes. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, everyone's got a fag on. What the hell is going on?
Yeah.
You know, they're on talk shows and they're smoking cigarettes openly and wantonly.
Yeah.
Right? Now, that doesn't make me go, oh, well, you know, smoking's really cool. I just go, Jesus, people don't smoke like that anymore.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I know that that's could be perceived as a lame comparison, but you see what I'm saying? Like, people do still smoke, right? Now, it still happens. It's not on television all of the fucking time. Although you do get sometimes, don't you? I can't remember what I was watching, but I turned something on and it said, contains images of smoking. And I was like, okay, well,
fine.
Let me brace myself. Jesus, they're smoking. Lord above. I don't know what I'll do with myself. I mean, the thing is it's like there was a period in the 50s, let's say, where you could barely show a passionate kiss on screen. But what, you want me to believe that people weren't passionately kissing and fucking each other like rabbits? I mean, it happens. It happened before you depicted it. It's going to happen after you depict it. So why not contextualize it and say, you know, this movie has some fucking in it. Obviously not in those words. You know, so you go, this movie has racism and sexism and violence. Okay, I know what I'm getting in for. Cool. I don't know what that's got to do with the Grinch, but
you have been listening to how the Grinch stole racism.
It was an interesting diversion, nonetheless. I mean, the point is you know, they want to cancel Dr. Seuss. Yeah, okay, but if you cancel Dr. Seuss, where does it end? Do you cancel everything that he's ever done because he's a prick?
Do you remember a time when you would have been introduced to the Grinch, or do you?
I remember watching it on the black and white telly in the kitchen. So it was definitely the 80s.
Right.
And my brothers
So
knew
he wasn't even
the
green
songs.
for you then?
No, because it was a black and white telly. But I recognised the style of illustration.
Yeah, because it's Chuck Jones.
Because I knew,
the Looney Tunes and stuff.
No, I mean the Zeusness of it.
Oh yes, yeah.
Yes. So I felt like I know this, but I didn't. It was just that I knew Fox in Socks and Green Eggs and Ham. And me saying, isn't he Sam I Am? And my brothers were like, no, it's the same person. It's the same author.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
See,
I fucking have a heart attack.
I actually came to the Grinch quite late in life. I think my first full-on encounter with the Grinch would have been the Jim Carrey version. I was
what?
But
get the fuck out of here.
I knew the original cartoon purely from the bits that you see in Home Alone and Home Alone 2.
What?
Do you know when he's watching it? Because it's quite a thing in America.
Who the fuck are you?
I know they show it every year, don't they, in America? But yeah, so it
they show it in this country too.
No, they don't.
I've seen it.
Yeah, not for years though.
There's not enough age difference between us for this to make a difference.
It's not like the Snowman. But yeah, it was Home Alone where I was first, introduced to that, and so then,
okay, but when did Home Alone come out? 1990.
So yeah, 1990.
Listen, you're going to have to cut out all of the shit that I was talking about.
Racism.
And just everything, all of that. Put this in. Yeah, what the fuck?
I know. So it was quite a weird thing because I've watched Home Alone so many times, and he's sitting there with his ice cream and he's watching the Grinch, and it's halfway through You're a Mean One, and it goes, "You're a 3-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich," and it fades out because it then pans to the next scene in Home Alone. So then when I eventually watched the cartoon and he goes, "You're a 3-decker sauerkraut and toadstool sandwich with arsenic sauce." Whenever I watch that now, I just always think of Home Alone straight away. And even when he does the big smile, I think of Home Alone 2, where he does the big smile and it dissolves into Tim Curry's face when he's worked out that
I
Kevin and
cannot believe you.
I know. But look, you've got to be introduced somewhere along the line, and then eventually seeing it for myself.
Fucking.
And I remember I bought a DVD of the Grinch, like the original, the cartoon, the Boris Karloff one. And there must have been something wrong with how they originally transferred it, because he wasn't a proper green. He was like a yellowy, mustardy green, and it didn't look right. And then later I bought the blue. No, but then later on I bought the Blu-ray, and they'd restored it and stuff, and he was back to the green he should have been.
I don't know who you are. I've never met you.
Sorry. Well, look, as I say, you've got to be introduced somehow. But
of course, no. You're right. You're right. No, you're right.
Well, that's what I mean. But it's not like it's not. They're all Christmas movies. We all love a Christmas movie. Come
on. So we've got these new office mates. There's one guy, and that he's fine. He's a nice enough geezer. He's a lot older than even me. I'd say he's maybe 51.
Right, okay. Not as old as the Grinch, then.
Not as old as the Grinch, no. And he talks a lot of shit, and it's like constant, and he says soda pop all of the time. And but I feel like he says it so that he gets a reaction. He'll say like, "Oh, I'm just going to go to the shop and buy a soda pop." Yeah, I say soda pop. And it's like, yeah, okay, we got that. It's fine. Like, whatever. I don't care. Just say Coke or Pepsi or whatever. And he thinks he's being controversial. So he'll say something like, because of where my desk is, I can hear them really well. And he'll say something like, "Oh, well, no, sometimes I prefer Pepsi Max to Diet Coke, but sometimes I don't." And it's like, okay. I mean, I don't give a shit what you're putting in your gullet. Just drink your drink and shut the fuck up. So, a few weeks ago, I heard him say, "So, do you think Die Hard is a Christmas movie or not?" And there is a right answer. And I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, no one cares. I mean, if you think it's a Christmas movie, it's a Christmas movie. If you don't, you don't. And I just don't want to enter into the discourse. All I want to say is, I like Die Hard. It's a good movie, right? And maybe you watch, I don't know, Murder, She Wrote every fucking year. That's then to you, that's your Christmas tradition, and that's the end of it, right? I don't care. Because for many years, I never thought of The Gremlins as a Christmas movie.
No.
And then as an adult, I watched it and went, actually, this is kind of Christmassy. It's winter. She tells the story about Father Christmas. Actually, arguably, it's a Christmas movie.
Also, Die Hard 2 is actually more Christmassy than Die Hard 1.
Can you remind me what happens in Die Hard 2?
There's snow. It's the
plane
that explodes
with
everyone on it, the plane.
I don't think I've seen that one as much as I've seen 1 and 3.
In the airport, and there's Christmas trees. There's just a lot more Christmas reference. That's in New York with Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. So I've seen really 1 and 3 a lot. 1 and 3
are the best ones.
Yeah, I like that one. Yeah. So I've seen 1 and 3 a lot.
But number 2 is more Christmassy than
2, maybe I've seen once. Okay. Well, fine. Okay, I believe you. But like,
I think if Die Hard 2 was Die Hard 1, there wouldn't be this conversation of, is it a Christmas film? They'd be like, yeah, it's a Christmas film.
So this guy says this, and I go like this, but like quietly, so that they don't hear me, but so that my desk mate can hear me. Oh, for fuck's sake, who cares? And then 2 days later, he's in again. So he's got some different people with him. And he goes, yeah, so I'm going to go home and watch Die Hard because it's a Christmas movie. All right. Now, can I just point out, the first time he said this, none of his colleagues said anything. The second time he says this, none of his colleagues say anything. Like, no one gives a fuck, right? And then Thursday I was in, and I heard, and so this has been weeks now. I was in with 2 colleagues who I particularly like, and I hear him say again, yeah, so Die Hard, it's definitely a Christmas movie, and like that's the end of it. I stand up, I go to my 2 colleagues, I lean over them so that he can't hear me. And I'm like, okay, he has said this at least 3 times in my earshot. Can I just tell you both? No one gives a fuck if Die Hard is a Christmas movie or not. I just need to get this out. I need to get it out of my body.
Yeah.
Like, no one cares. No one cares. Yeah. Both of them are like, you're absolutely right. No one cares. It's a Christmas movie. Okay. It's not a Christmas movie. Okay. Your thoughts?
Well, it sounds like this guy is talking about Die Hard with a vengeance.
You shut the fuck up. You fucking prick. Yeah, you're right. I should say that. Oh, mate, with a vengeance. That's so amazing. Thanks, James. It's a good thing we did a comedy course.
Yeah. Has it gone too wasted? This has been a Head Full of Straw production of Vicky Goes On and On with Vicky Stokes and James Wells.